Developing tonight, a surrender, arrest, and arraignment of former President Donald Trump played out in a New York City courtroom today.
The former president traveled from his southern Florida Gulf resort yesterday to New York City, where he was officially arrested and charged this afternoon. He is now on his way back to Mar-a-Lago and is expected to address his supporters tonight. NBC's Jay Gray has been outside the Manhattan courtroom all day, where history was made today. He's joining us live with what we are learning about these new charges. Jay?
Yeah, Daniela, Keith, as you just talked about, the former president landing back in Florida just moments ago on the ground there and preparing for what we think will be a fiery speech at Mar-a-Lago. He's expected to address all 34 counts that were levied against him today in the court building just behind us here in Lower Manhattan. Let's work through how all of that happened. He left his Midtown high-rise just after 1 o'clock this afternoon and made the short trip over here to the criminal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Walked inside, a brief glimpse from the cameras where he was read his rights and then fingerprinted. There was a short delay on the court side of all of this, so the indictment actually, or the arraignment rather, actually started a bit later than planned, but the entire process lasted in all about 2 hours or so, with the outside of the courthouse packed with crowds, protesters on both sides of this highly charged political case, screaming, cursing at one another, a heavy police presence, as you might expect, separating the two sides in this case. The president listening to the charges levied against him, pleading not guilty, and directly leaving the courthouse for LaGuardia Airport to make that flight back to Florida. Again, we do expect to hear from him within the hour, addressing these charges and talking about his plans moving forward. Remember, not only is he a former president, he is also a current candidate for the Republican nomination for the presidency. So a lot at stake here politically and legally for the former president, who is now a defendant in a criminal case.
Jay, I do have a question for you. We have seen the crowds. We've seen protesters as well. What is the situation on the ground now where you are?
Yeah, you know what? Things have thinned out significantly since the peak of things this afternoon here. There are still some supporters on both sides of this case that are out, and you can hear them at times yelling, often at one another. It was very intense for several hours here, many of them coming well before the former president showed up at the courthouse. And I have to tell you, they were so engaged in the protesting that many didn't even realize he had arrived at the courthouse. Others didn't realize when he left. And that just gives you a glimpse as to what things were like on the ground here then, and how intense the back and forth is between these two sides. That's something that with this indictment certainly isn't going to go away.
All right, history scene there, and boy, quite the scene. Jay Gray in Lower Manhattan. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.